All right. Hey there. Billy Merritt here, and I am outside here in Asheville on my back patio, and this is way more interesting. If I blipped out the first 10 seconds, here we are. I am outside on my back patio. That is the goofy nature of this light. And just so you know, I'm here with my colleague, R Bear. You can't see my golden retriever, but that's okay. So tonight I am super excited to share with you something very time sensitive about your brain health. And this is, I don't want to create a sense of fear, but there's some urgency here. First, I just do want to say thank you for being here. That I am excited. I have some really important stuff to share with you. And as you know, these classes are very much my love. I've been doing the health classes at the ashram for many years, and writing newsletters, of course. And truthfully, these live classes are my new jam. This is number 3. So I am gonna just get on a roll of this. I'm going to keep doing this. I think it's way more effective. To me, it's more fun. And also, we can do some Q&A along the way. So I do want to get through some key stuff by 8:30, and then we can do some questions afterward. And by the way, in case, let's see, comment moderation not set. I want to make sure you guys can leave only your followers. No. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that you guys can leave as many comments and ask questions if you want. Truthfully, I'm not entirely sure that the comments are able to be taken. If they aren't, then I guess I won't know. So let's talk about exercise and how it is connected to the brain, to the health of your brain. I like we talked about a couple weeks ago. The urgency to this is there has been a decline in brain health just over the last decade, especially here in the United States. I shared the example with you guys being the risk of Alzheimer's now more than doubling, and for which there unfortunately is no known treatment. It's become the 3rd leading cause of death. After the age of 35, the risk is 50%, believe it or not. And this is due to very specific causes that not enough people know about. And the fact that it's rapidly increasing is a major call to action here. So let's see, I just got word that this sounds really low and is hard to hear. Alright, I'm going to sit a little closer to my computer and we'll just talk louder, and I hope that helps. Okay, so the other things that we have to look at is that Americans being overweight has increased from 60 to 70% just in the last year. And this has been especially an issue just in the last 6 months with the whole new, you've heard the term quarantine 15, people gaining extra pounds since just less activity at the gym. And that was the purpose of my newsletter, by the way, the quarantine workout. I'm going to share that with you at the end of this class. Now, today's focus is going to be exactly what physical exercise affects the brain and which exercise offers the most benefit that you can easily and efficiently integrate into your lifestyle. So the good things about this is just when you know the facts, when you actually know how this stuff works, it does give a new level of motivation that you can use toward this part of your life to up it a level. So I am going to share with you tonight how it's connected brain health and exercise relative to shedding unwanted pounds and why losing weight for some people can be extremely stubborn. I'm going to talk about how exercise and brain health is a support for mood enhancement, mental clarity. Of course, that's a benefit to anybody. And how it is so influential for Alzheimer's prevention and also just boosting memory in general. So, and then of course longevity, which should be just a priority for anybody. Now, the good thing is these are fundamental methods that you really feel a difference right away, because the health of the brain is something that's affected literally minute by minute. Now, by the way, you just may know that brain health is my passion. I shared it in the previous class that, it was 10 years of healing my own brain that gave me the opportunity to really gather just what makes a difference. And while I'm not a neurologist, I learned from the top neurologist as I mapped out just the course of my own healing, which, this is now what I'm sharing with you. So week before last, we talked about diet, how diet and brain health are connected, which, by the way, if you missed out on that class, the good news is I have these classes recorded. Check so there's a part 1 and part 2. Hit part 2 since I covered a lot of part 1 and part 2 since there was a technical difficulty in part 1. So just the nutshell of what we did talk about is a big part of the reduction of brain health is actually a reduction of blood flow in the brain, and just in specific areas of the brain that they're able to see with PET scans. And we discussed how a lot of this is due to inflammation. Inflammation is, in fact, the biggest enemy when it comes to brain health and virtually every part of your health. Now, we're actually talking inflammation of tissues on a microscopic level in the brain that restricts blood flow. We're not talking inflammation of aches and pains. It's a totally different thing. The fact is, strong circulation with healthy blood that you create with your diet is what preserves the health of everything in the body and is the primary ticket to an enduring and lasting neurological system. Now, the brain is, in fact, a vascular organ. It's 400 miles of blood vessels, making it so sensitive even on a minute-by-minute basis, like we talked about. Now, the reduced inflammation, the reduced circulation from inflammation actually damages the brain due to the restricted blood flow, which has the oxygen, nutrients, and is also essential for removing the metabolic waste from cells, which otherwise, if it lingers, it goes rancid. And that reduced blood flow, essentially, believe it or not, the brain does shrink, especially the part that's most neglected is the hippocampus, which is what controls the memory. Now, and PET scans have, in fact, shown this. And the fact is, brain inflammation is linked to all disease since the brain is just less effective at managing everything in the body. The body becomes less capable of healing itself. And then, of course, there's just the domino effect right away that you can feel on a day-by-day basis is brain fog, being forgetful, feeling less motivated, lower energy, not feeling revitalized in the morning. So, and then, of course, it is a factor of Alzheimer's just more than doubling. So the good news is with your lifestyle, you can grow your brain cells, you can get them back. That's the whole topic of neurogenesis that we talked about, and that it was thought impossible that you could grow new brain cells until 2000, so just 20 years ago. And so the fact is, you can grow brain cells until the end of your life. You can always be getting your brain stronger. That's what people don't understand. And of course, the goal should always be to grow new brain cells faster than they die. Now, this is all good news, and that we can do these things with our diet and exercise to not only mitigate the risk of the decline of brain health, but like I said, it can be significantly improved at virtually any time in your life. So we're using diet and exercise to speed brain cell production literally remodeling the internal structure of your brain. So, we talked about how 2 weeks ago this is related to stress, actually. Just the day-to-day pressures in this modern day and age, from just work and appointments, errands, constant stimulation from cell phones and traffic, unpleasant news, TV, radios, etc. That the problem is these stressors add up, and that especially just with COVID, unfortunately, we have more to worry about. This chronic stress changes the chemistry of the brain. It's the chronic cortisol. We talked about how cortisol, that constant production, steals the substrates for oxytocin, that mood-boosting brain hormone. We talked about how the amygdala, the stress center, the fear center of your brain, takes up the substrates that would otherwise go toward maintaining your hippocampus. So we linked in diet, how we want diet to be part of the solution rather than to exacerbate the problem. Of course, that we don't want this modern diet to be doing more harm than good. It's definitely more also than just less processed sugar and more blueberries. As huge as that is, it's the other specific foods to eat and not eat that we talked about. It's largely the anti-inflammatory diet. Again, you'll be able to catch all that in the previous video. And by the way, if you did miss out on that class also, in the Infinity Health Manual in my book, there is the cheat sheet in the back, which just lists all of the foods which are important for this purpose, and then which foods you don't want to have for this purpose. And I am going to share you a link at the end of the class for the free download, for the free ebook of Infinity Health Manual. So I have another gift I'm going to share too. Now, we are going to, we talked about foods, the elite foods last week, foods high in antioxidants. We talked about the detox foods, foods to avoid, like the wrong carbohydrates and oils and the wrong animal protein. So that's it. Now we are going to talk about how this is all connected with exercise. And in essence, with diet, we're creating the nutrient-rich blood. And then you've heard me compare how exercise is like pumping the handle, which circulates the nutrient and oxygen-rich blood to organs and every part of the body, essentially making everything stronger and more resilient to age. So it's those two working together that create that new level of just restorative life force. And many people who decide that they're not going to take the time to stay physically active through some kind of consistent exercise, they just have no idea how powerful it can be and what they're missing out on. So that's not you. The fact that you're here right now with me shows that you really care. The fact is it impacts everything in the body, including the brain. It's not just burning fat and building muscle. It's so much more than that. At no period in your life do you want to be cutting out on this brain-important activity. It should always be a foundational part of your day-to-day life. And these years of your life are no dress rehearsal for getting healthier later. It's painful to hear, actually, when people say my years of being most fit are past. Well, maybe how fast you can run and how much weight you can lift, fine, but deep down, not so. There's different attributes to physical fitness that can continue to get stronger even into your later years, brain health being one of them. Now, there are several reasons for this, and the obvious is, like I talked about, oxygen-rich blood flow. That that we're trying to circulate oxygen, nutrient-rich blood to reduce inflammation so that the body's restorative healing life force can get in there to do its restorative magic of getting the metabolic waste out, restorative in. Now, it's essentially like done properly, and we're going to discuss this. Exercise can become like a physical brain therapy. And, you know, I've seen this. I never stopped being amazed when I was at the Ashram Health Retreat as a trainer, how people would go through this 6 days of intensive exercise and would just leave feeling like different people, psychologically, for this very reason, for biological reasons. And Then there are the other obvious reasons why exercise supports the brain, such as exercise strengthens the core, which supports the spine. The spine, after all, is a pillar of it's a neurological superhighway through which the brain exchanges the vital information throughout the rest of the body. And so a strong body, strong posture, keep that superhighway healthy for sure. Now, exercise also makes cells hungry for insulin. We talked last week how insulin resistance in the brain-blood barrier is starving the hippocampus. This is a problem, and exercise, fortunately, can help correct that. Then there is the stress-exercise connection. That exercise buffers stress temporarily, since it burns, it exercises, boots out cortisol. Thus, good to exercise regularly. Now, the big one, and this is lesser known and really important to know, that good exercise creates what is called an acute systemic inflammation, also known as just muscle soreness, which actually the brain likes, since the body responds to this inflammation from all your exercise by producing a growth hormone which favors the brain. It's brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF. It's a growth hormone that exercise stimulates for this neurogenesis. It's incredibly effective, where more neurons are built, better neural connections for enhanced synaptic activity. Everything is working better. So activation of this gene program of the BDNF, again, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, is always ready to run. So yeah, that's why exercise really is so huge for the brain. That's number one. Ultimately, it is growing the brain. Exercise is like natural Miracle-Gro. That it makes the brain also more receptive to neuroplasticity. It makes the brain more moldable, like silly putty. And I'm actually going to get into neuroplasticity in a couple weeks. That is another amazing just subject that I'm very passionate about, that is basically how you can go throughout your daily routine to actually shift and change your thought to be a more positive thinker. So we're going to visit that in a couple weeks. Next week I will share with you what I'm going to talk about in just a moment. So basically, the exercise turns on an intelligence woven through the body. It's the most important instrument we have. And also, just exercise, it gets you away from your computer, phone, out of traffic, away from the chaos. So that alone is a direct way that exercise beats stress, thus preserving the health of your brain. Now, the problem with that, however, is the modern paradigm is that it's the sedentary lifestyle, going from bed to car to desk to couch, then bed again. And so kind of the status quo, but not for you. I want to go down a punch list of what will make an exercise routine for you successful and manageable. As you know, there are two general categories of exercise. There's aerobic, also known as cardio, and the anaerobic, which is generally load-bearing, weightlifting. Now, both are actually important, and with aerobic, you need to get your heart rate up with the sustained activity, but it's really important to be building muscle via the anaerobic activity too. That it's by building the muscle with load-bearing exercise, your body naturally burns more calories on a consistent basis. You're building a bigger engine. And what happens with that load-bearing exercise is it stimulates the BDNF, that growth hormone for the brain, more than aerobic activity. So with your exercise, again, it's not just losing weight and building muscle. It's building that strength, which is building a stronger brain. So I'll go ahead and share with you that there is one particular exercise that, for the money, is the most efficient in combining the cardio and load-bearing activity, and it's hiking. We're actually genetically adapted to a lot of activity, but especially traveling by foot, since for the first 190,000 years of being human, we were actually very nomadic, only 190,000 years, foraging for food. It was only 12,000 years ago that we began a more primitive version of farming. So compare 190,000 years of genes that, well, they only changed so much in 12,000 years. So a lot less walking. And again, it was at the ashram where we were hiking like 60 miles a week, 10 to 15 miles a day, that people would come who weren't necessarily that fit, but they were surprised. They were able to do it. They were surprised. And again, like hiking, this kind of mileage is in fact just what we're adapted to do. So let's see. I'm just checking here. I have a YouTube channel. Okay, I was just making sure that nobody was saying that they can't hear me. Good. Okay, so I understand, however, that we don't necessarily have time to hike for hours every day. But going even a few miles at a sturdy pace 2 or 3 days a week can have a tremendous impact. You're getting your heart rate up and you're lifting your body weight as you trek up and down hills, making hiking the perfect cardio and load-bearing activity all in one. Plus, you're exercising the largest muscles in your body, namely your gluteus and quads, and which therefore has the most effect on your metabolism. You're strengthening your core too, of course. And the good thing about hiking over uneven terrain is you're also exercising your smaller stabilizer muscles. Lots of little muscles that all add up. And so just walking up and down hills, it covers a lot. Now, popular ways that people do try to replicate this kind of physical activity is in the gym via stationary bikes and treadmills. And this is obviously much better than not exercising at all. It can be great, but when only doing the same repetitive motion that's offered by stationary bikes and treadmills, you don't get the same workout provided by hiking, since all those stabilizer muscles aren't working. So really, it's if you're not able to get outside, I can understand, or if you live someplace flat, that's okay. Walking steps is awesome. Or if you live in a flat place, going for the really brisk walk, and then doing squats afterward. I showed you my whole thing about squats in the quarantine workout video, and I'll share that with you. Again, remember that the gluteus muscles and quads are the high priority muscles for enhancing your overall strength and stimulating that BDNF, brain generating hormone. So those are unfortunately the seldom done exercises, squats and deadlifts. Just like hiking though, bending over, squatting to pick up heavy objects is something that we have been doing for quite some time. So it's something that our bodies are well adapted to. Now, of course, you don't want to risk injury. It's a matter of doing it right. The best theme is to just do less weight and more reps, especially if you're new at it. And they also, the traditional squats and deadlifts, you're committing to like a bar. You're picking up a bar or a bar on your shoulders. I am a huge fan of dumbbells or kettlebells. It's a low-risk way to get started where you can hold these to your chest. And you can also use the rubber exercise bands. And I can't recommend these exercises highly enough. And then there is, of course, working with a trainer, which I really do feel is the best way you can spend your time and money. And it can be very efficient, not time-consuming. And just with the right kind of intensive exercise, you can get a whole lot out of just an hour or even a half hour. And again, I've seen it firsthand, working as a trainer for many years. So, no question, a strong body, head to toe, is one of the foundational elements for a strong brain, only making us more fit to navigate through the world of modern stressors with a stronger mind. And so giving yourself a few hours a week has tremendous payoff. And so as you're listening to this right now, what is your instinct telling you? All of these factors considered, are you active enough? And are you potentially just not? So this is a time that we're gonna choose to do this for serious purpose. Now we just have more motive and reason. It's not just for the looks. It's for a truly successful life, mentally and emotionally. Again, we got to look at the statistics of now 70% of Americans being overweight. Genetically, we're a leaner species. And so if you feel like you need to lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or maybe more, you can do it. And I am really excited to share the how-tos in the Infinity Health Manual, of course. And the good news with this is, while it's not easy, it's once you go through the journey that maintenance is actually is not hard. So this is a choice you make. I encourage getting the social support, just spending time with your friends who also prioritize their health. Hire your trainer and read my chapter on exercise. I'm going to send you the ebook here in just a moment. And also, just remember that, this kind of excellence, just taking care of yourself, just makes you happy, and you're gonna just live a better life. And just for the short term, also you just feel good because of the chemicals, the oxytocin. So just remember that this is a life enriching activity, and so tonight I hope I've given you some inspiration. It's a time to get pumped and set some goals, and you can make it fun. And it's also, there's so many options. There's hiking, there's running, there's tennis, swimming, soccer, ultimate frisbee. You may know that I'm quite partial to dance. It's a kind of a non-exercise intended activity, but it's very much a passion for me. And yoga, of course, is awesome. I'm quite partial to my sister's yoga, Yonder Yoga. They're based out of Atlanta, Georgia, and they do online classes, Yonder Yoga. Check that out. They are totally amazing. I will always brag about family members, but my sister's yoga is, in fact, my favorite, truly. So the other thing we're going to get into is next week is how exercise improves sleep, which is our next topic. I haven't decided what day, so stay tuned, but sleep is an important part of brain health because of the glymphatic system, which is actually a relatively new discovery. And so we're going to get into all that. We're going to get into just what you can do to improve your sleep. And you can also check out that chapter in my book that I'm going to share with you. You'll get a head start. Also, last week I talked about turmeric, and I actually intended to give you a turmeric coupon for 10% off Infinity Turmeric, where you actually won't even have to enter the coupon code. I'm going to share this link with you, and you can click on that. And I'm going to send you these links now, and then I can take some questions. So, turmeric and Infinity Health Manual. Get your questions ready. So this is the Infinity Health Manual link you can download for free. And that's it, actually. And I see there were a few comments along the way. Do I have a YouTube channel? Yes, Francine, I sure do. And you can access my classes. Yes, on the Facebook, on the Infinity Greens Facebook, and that's it. It looks like we're covered. So I see there are still 16 diehards who hung in there. And so thanks for staying through to the end. And if this really got your motivation, then definitely pass this on to a friend. This is going to be recorded that you can just share the link. You can also hit the subscribe button so that you're always notified when I'm doing one of these. Okay, Ghislaine, I see your question about how many squats. Well, it's all weight dependent, and I am a fan of starting low risk, where you just hold like a 20-pound dumbbell. Even you don't even have to hold any weight at all. That you're squatting down like you're picking something up, and you can just do that. You can do 20 reps, 30, 40, 50 reps until whenever you're exhausted. Personally, I hold dumbbells and kettlebells to my chest. I'll do a warm up with like 40s, and then I can actually hold kettlebells on my elbows. I did a video with that, the quarantine workout video, and I will post that on my Facebook. So we'll do that. But yeah, really also that's where a trainer can be incredibly useful. But really, when you're working with lighter weight, it's safe to be very intuitive. That you can definitely just find that kind of weight where you feel you can do 20, 30 reps until you feel you've hit that point of near exhaustion, where you save a few in the tank, where you feel you could do a couple more really solid ones. Because when you take it to the point of muscle failure, that's when you do risk tweaking something. And you'll get there to that point where you can push yourself harder. That's perfectly fine. Nava, so good to hear from you, man, from Nepal. Awesome. All right. All right, well, thanks, you guys. I'm going to sign off now, and I wish you all a wonderful evening. And stay tuned for when we're going to get on next here. Take care.